Welcome to the Pennsylvania State Archives New Records Coordinator Training, PDFA Policy. This training is intended to assist agency record coordinators and alternates who have been appointed as agency representatives regarding records management functions. This module will cover Commonwealth requirements for electronic records with long-term and permanent retention. For more assistance, visit the Pennsylvania State Archives Records Management page or contact us using the information on this slide. All Commonwealth agencies subject to the Administrative Code of 1929 and/or those that store records at the Pennsylvania State Record Center are required to follow the policy regarding agency long-term and archival records in electronic format, which is commonly referred to as the PDFA policy. This policy requires additional steps to be taken to ensure that electronic records remain secure and accessible for the length of their retention. Due to the rapid evolution of computer and record-keeping technology, additional measures are required to ensure the accuracy, usability, longevity, and legal acceptability of all Commonwealth electronic records. You should also note that this policy only applies to electronic records that have a retention of 10 years or longer, which would be listed in the General or Agency Retention Schedule. Electronic records with shorter retention, or long-term records that have at least one copy stored in paper or microfilm, are not subject to this policy's requirements. The full policy is available to read on the State Archives website, and you can always contact State Archives staff for further assistance with this policy. This training module has 4 parts. First, understand the basics of the policy regarding long-term and archival records in electronic format. Second, understand what the PDFA file format is. Third, how to convert an electronic file into a PDFA document. And fourth, how to submit a waiver for permanent and long-term electronic records kept in formats other than PDFA. In order to comply with this policy, agencies must meet several requirements to ensure that long-term and permanent electronic records remain accessible for their entire retention period. At least one copy of the record must be saved in the PDFA file format or another format that's approved by the Pennsylvania State Archives. 3 copies of each record must be kept: an access copy, a security preservation file copy, and a backup copy. The security preservation copy of each file must be stored in a live server environment, meaning that records cannot be kept on CDs, flash drives, or other media that is not connected to a server. Currently, the only allowable format for long-term and permanent electronic Commonwealth records is the PDFA file format. PDFA is a special version of the standard Adobe PDF format designed for the archiving and long-term preservation of electronic documents. PDFA is an open-source, non-proprietary version of the PDF file format that was created by the Adobe company specifically for long-term preservation. PDFA files are self-contained, which means that all of the data needed to display the file is contained in its source code. It does not need to connect to other programs to find elements like fonts or linked data. PDFA files are difficult to alter. They will always appear as they did originally. PDFA works well with all textual document types, such as PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoints, and spreadsheets. PDFA was released in 2005 and is still the most reliable long-term electronic file format currently for Commonwealth offices. The basic version of PDFA, which is known as PDFA-1B, meets all minimum compliance requirements with Commonwealth policy. All subsequent versions of PDFA are also acceptable and may be more appropriate for your agency. You may not be familiar with the PDFA file format, but it is a standard file format that you can create on any computer. Depending on the original format of a record and your agency's needs, there are several common methods of converting records to PDFA: saving files in PDFA as they're created, manually and batch converting existing electronic files to PDFA, and scanning paper documents and converting those image files to PDFA. When staff are creating files in word processing programs like Microsoft Word, they can select the Save As option to save that file as a PDFA directly. Once a document is saved as a PDFA, it can no longer be edited or modified. Staff can open an existing file and save it as a PDFA. In Microsoft Word, this requires a user to select the Save As option and then select PDFA from the available options that are listed. In Adobe Acrobat, this will require a user to select Save As Other and then select the PDFA option. If you're not sure how to save a file as a PDFA document, contact your IT department for more help. There are also several methods to convert multiple files to PDFA all at once, and you can see the State Archives Records Management training website for more instructions on this. Staff can select scanner settings so that when paper documents are being scanned, the image is saved directly as a PDFA file. If office scanning equipment does not have this capability, staff can scan the records and then convert that image file, whether it's a PDF or a JPEG or a TIFF, to a PDFA document. Staff should consult their IT department or scanning vendors for assistance in this process. To confirm that a file has been saved correctly as a PDFA document, open it and check for a blue bar at the top of the page that says, "This file claims compliance with the PDFA standard and has been opened read-only to prevent modification." The current Commonwealth policy does not say when agencies need to convert their documents to PDFA. Based on business needs, staff may want to save documents as PDFA immediately, or may want to wait until a record is in its final or official form, or no longer a draft or inactive before converting it to PDFA. Sometimes there are cases when an agency has electronic formats that cannot be saved in the PDFA file format. Databases with long-term retention data is a common example of this. If an agency wants to maintain a long-term or permanent and archival record exclusively electronically, but cannot keep that record in the PDFA file format, they can petition the state archives to maintain these records in another format. To maintain long-term or permanent and archival records in a non-PDFA file format, agencies must submit a waiver called Request to Retain Long-Term Records in Electronic Form Other than PDFA for approval from the state archives. Agencies must provide information on how records are scanned and the accuracy of those scans, indexing, file auditing, access to records, how records are backed up, and plans to migrate files to new hardware and file formats in the future. It's usually helpful to discuss these things with your IT staff and have them assist you in filling this waiver out. This waiver can be found on the Pennsylvania State Archives Records Management website. Now that we've reviewed the Commonwealth's policy for long-term and permanent electronic records, we hope that you're confident and better prepared to assist agency staff who are creating, maintaining, and using electronic records. Long-term and permanent records are some of the most valuable records in the Commonwealth, and these requirements ensure that this information will remain secure and accessible. This concludes the New Records Coordinator Training PDFA policy. Additional training modules are available on the State Archives website under the Records Management tab. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact the Record Services Division at the contact on the screen. Thank you.